In the beginning of the 1974 movie, Nick is on a small motorboat with a background voiceover of Nick saying the quote from the book, "Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had." How do you feel this intro sets the scene for the intro of the movie, The Great Gatsby, and for the rest of the movie?
I think the intro to the movie does a great job of adding visual effects to The Great Gatsby. First of all, it's word for word with the book, and it shows Nick's understanding towards others with the quote. He tries not to judge a book by its cover, foreshadowing the judging Gatsby after meeting him for the first time. And he also sets up the location to where his story will be taking place, on the bays of East and West Egg.
Why did you decide to put Nick in a small boat, even though it didn't happen in the book?
Well, back on the topic of the small boat, you might have noticed that not only was the boat smaller than the rest of the big expensive boats, but he was also having a hard time steering. I did this to foreshadow how Nick's life was going to suddenly change. The large boat showed the factors he had no control over, like Gatsby or Jordan, that were affecting his life by making waves that were rocking his boat, while he didn't have much effect on them.
In the novel, Nick meets Gatsby by chance at the party, but in your movie, you had Gatsby send a servant to bring him to his study. Why did you do this?
I did this to make Nick change her behavior from the beginning to the end, much more pronounced. Also to show that most of the movie, Nick has a dependence on Gatsby, and he won't do much to initiate, or won't do initiation much.
Yeah. In the novel, Nick meets Gatsby by chance at the party, but in your movie, you had Gatsby send a servant to bring him to his study. Why did you do this?
I did this to make Nick change a behavior from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie much more pronounced. Also to show that for most of the movie, Nick has almost a dependence on Gatsby and won't start much unless Gatsby goes and starts it for him. Like how Nick never would have gone to one of Gatsby's parties or a speakeasy unless Gatsby had invited him.
His personality is somewhat drab, and he acts like an observer. Why did you make much of his clothing flashy than his personality?
I did this to show Nick's desire to befriend Gatsby, which is why when Gatsby shows interest in Nick, he latches onto him so quickly. For example, Nick was so ready to assist Gatsby when meeting with Daisy to show his loyalty for him.
Fitzgerald, which film do you feel described and conveyed the story the most accurately and why?
In my opinion, I feel the 1974 film conveyed the story the most accurately because a majority of the film and the entire intro of the 1974 film was word for word from the novel. Also, the 1974 film goes in depth about Nick's relationship with the other characters and where he lives, which the 2013 film did not accomplish. In addition, small details were shown in the 1974 film, such as the first time Nick goes to Daisy's house for lunch, she blows out the candle, and she also spoke about her actions whereas in the 2013 film, she did not blow out the candles, nor did she comment about it.
Mr. Lerman, do you agree with what Fitzgerald said that the...
I do agree with Fitzgerald's statement, the 1974.
Mr. Lerman, do you agree with Fitzgerald's statement that the 1974 movie best represented the novel? If so, why?
I do agree that Fitzgerald's statement that the 1974 best represents the novel, because although Charleston was included in both films. The music that was in the 1974 was more accurate to the 1920s, whereas in the 2013 film, the music was more modern.
Yes, although it was in the 2013 film.
Yes, although in the 2013 film, I agree with the argument about how the 1974 film was more accurate to the novel. I feel this way because although many details in the 2013 film were accurate, there are also small details that were less accurate to the original novel, such as in the 2013 film, Nick takes some time to think about the job Gatsby offers him, and he questions himself. This was a less accurate representation of the novel, whereas in the 1974 film, recreated the scene more accurately by having Nick conduct the job. Immediately, because he did not like Gatsby's.
Mr. Clayton, although you directed the 2013 film, do you agree with the argument that the 1974 film most accurately conveyed the novel, and why?
Yes. Although I was in the 2013 film, I agree with this argument about how the 1974 film was more accurate to the novel. I feel this way because although many details in the 2013 film were accurate, there were also some details that were less accurate to the original novel. Such as, in the 2013 film, Nick takes some time to think about the job Gatsby offers him, and he questions himself. This was less accurate representation of the novel, whereas the 1974 film recreated the scene more accurately by having Nick deny the job offer immediately because he did not want Gatsby's sympathy.